Goeiedag. Good day, fellow South Africans. And don't forget, 8 p.m. tonight, we have a live stream. I'll put the link down below. But we have a very interesting expose on who actually owns the land in South Africa. And it is really interesting. And I have to thank Dee for this. Dee, you know who you are. He's one of my informants who sends me information. Okay. Black people already own more than half of all agricultural land in two of South Africa's most fertile provinces, the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. This is according to an audit of land ownership to be released this week. Landowners who are not white own 26.7% of agricultural ground and control more than 46% of South Africa's agricultural potential. It kind of says something about their ability to farm, doesn't it? Anyway, let's continue. Twice as much land has been transferred to black entrepreneurs and farmers through ordinary commercial purchases than the state has managed to buy for black owners as part of its land redistribution program, the study found. These statistics are contained in a comprehensive land audit undertaken by economist Johan Borman in partnership with magazine Landbou Weekblad and Agri-SA, which with a large donation made it possible to obtain data about hundreds of thousands of land transactions from the deeds office, as well as geographical data. An audit of this type has never been done in South Africa and is being released amid huge political pressure to increase the pace of land reform. Ernest Pringle, the chairperson of Agri-SA's Policy Committee on Agricultural Development, said the organization realized long ago that a comprehensive land audit was imperative because policy was being driven by perception and emotion instead of facts. Remember this largely quoted 78% of land ownership in South Africa by the whites, by the mainstream media? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And please excuse my dog with the heavy breathing in the background. You'll get to know Bonsai, he does this. All right. More research will be done to formulate a clear strategy for a land plan that is consistent with a national development plan and the Constitution, and that will advance job creation and the protection of property rights, said Pringle. Agri-SA will release the audit along with additional research on Wednesday at its offices in Centurion. So if you live in Centurion, please get a copy of them and send me a PDF. I'd love to have a look. The key findings are: in KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo, which has some of the nation's most fertile land, more than half of agricultural land is owned by the black people. In three of the most fertile provinces, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo, more than 50% of agricultural potential is in black hands. White farmers' ownership of agricultural ground declined from 85.1% in 1994 to 73.3% in December 2016, and altogether 5 million hectares of agricultural ground was bought by black people in this period, as well as 1.7 million hectares for purposes other than agriculture. In the same period, government purchased and redistributed only 2.1 million hectares of agricultural ground. Now, you have to understand that the government is the biggest landowner in South Africa. And you know where it's all going? To the political hierarchy. They're kind of just acquiring it. It's quietly in the background. It's a huge scam, guys. It's a huge scam. Anyway, let's continue. In addition, provincial governments and municipalities bought and redistributed redistributed about 600,000 hectares of land, said Bornham. It's interesting to see that emergent black farmers are buying land in the areas that they originate from. isiZulu speakers usually will not buy in the Eastern Cape, and isiXhosa speakers will not buy in Limpopo. Bornman initially began the audit out of personal interest because so much nonsense is spoken about land ownership. It was later expanded into an extensive nationwide audit after sponsors Agri-SA and Landbouweekblad got involved. Since then, Bornman has been working with a team of 10 researchers. He admits it was uncomfortable to do research in which race played a role. He says, "We determined the race of new landowners by looking at names. That can lead to errors, with names such as Des van Rooyen, also the name of a cooperative governance minister. But it would be a small minority, and also mistakes would lead to black ownership being underestimated, not overestimated," he said. Do you get that? So these are conservative Caucasian ownership of land figures. And he goes on to say, people of colour who bought agricultural land clearly focused on land that has high potential for agricultural development. We measured this by linking the land they bought in every district to the carrying capacity of the agricultural land in that district as recorded by the Department of Agriculture. Altogether, 221,000 transactions involving land between 1994 and December 2016 were analysed. To do a proper assessment of all the transactions, we built an internet platform to determine exactly what the situation was in 1994 and how it compares with land ownership today, said Bornman. It was an exhausting process because deeds office data had to be rectified when it contained mistakes. It also had to be adapted to provide for changes in the boundaries of provinces and agricultural districts. The result is that it is now possible to determine exactly who owns what land in each of the country's 340 agricultural districts in respect of surface area, or hectares, monetary value, and agricultural potential. To determine how much agricultural land there is in the country, a complete set of satellite images of the country's total surface area of 122.5 million hectares were obtained from 1994 and from 2016. A disturbing fact that emerged during the audit is that available agricultural land had declined by 4% over the past 23 years, from 97 million hectares to 93 million hectares. It's agricultural land that has been sucked up by mines, industry, and the extension of municipal boundaries, said Bornman. The effect of market forces was also surprising. In the 23-year period examined by the audit, 90.3 billion rand had been spent on land that is now owned by black people. Of this, the government bought 2.8 million hectares, for which it paid 20.5 billion rand. Large areas of this land are today underutilized or fallow. They're no longer used for farming. Isn't that extraordinary? A large portion of the 4 million hectares of land that the government said it redistributed is in the former homelands. The true figure is close to 3.5 million hectares. One wonders how much success government would have achieved if it had simply made the 20.5 billion rand available to prospective black farmers who wanted to buy land through a financial institution such as the Land Bank, said Bornman. Again, excuse my dog Panty in the background. He's a bloody Jack Russell and he has his moments. Now, this puts the whole lie in the claim that the Caucasians own 78% of the land in South Africa. That is bullshit. And you know what else? The fact that the Nguni Bantu tribes claim they were actually in areas west of Lesotho before the voortrekkers came through is bullshit. I will put a link down below to my video where I actually talk about the early history of South Africa, which demonstrates that the Bantu and Nguni people were stuck in KwaZulu-Natal, where they could feed their cattle and their sheep and their herds because there was water, there was rainfall, and they could sustain them. They weren't west of Lesotho. The Boers, the voortrekkers, were the first people to come in and actually farm the lands to the west of Lesotho. All right, guys, I know my dog is annoying me to hell. You know what dogs are like. Anyway, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and check out the link below to the live stream later tonight, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. I'll be talking to Chantel, who's one of my coordinators looking after migration to the Asia Pacific region. And also on will be my good friend Glenn, who is now offering up his farmhouse and a couple of flats which he owns, and a cabin which he owns, to help South Africans get some place to stay when they originally come to Australia. All right, guys, so it's going to be a huge night, and after we've had that discussion with Chantel, I'm going to be running the 10 or 11 videos that really got this channel flying, and you'll be able to see the landmarks of how it grew. All right, guys, take care and have a lovely day. Bye for now.